Hello, people. How's it going? Okay, this is the Book of Ruth Bible study. Well, chapter 1, probably verse 1 to 5. Hopefully, that can be too long. I have a feeling it will be. Hopefully, under 15 minutes. But first of all, I'm going to read the origin of the Moabites. This is what Ruth was. She was a Moabite. This is Genesis 19:30 to 38. And yes, I know. If you all know the story, you've heard it, but some of you may not have. So, all right. And Lot went up out of the Zoar, and dwelt in the mountains, and with his 2 daughters with him. For he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, and he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come unto us after the manner of all of the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not that she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow, and the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I have laid yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also. Go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve the seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she got up or rose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot children by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and he called his name Moab. And the same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Ben-Nami, the same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. It's important that we know where these people came from. The Ammonites, the Moabites, were the descendants of incest. Lot. And I'm going to give a brief, I don't know why I put the Bible away. Now I'm going to read what I'm going to be doing today. And then I'm going to explain one of the Moabite gods, which Chemosh, Chemosh. I'll get to him in a minute. First, I want to read what I'm going to attempt to begin this Bible study on anyway. Book of Ruth, chapter 1, verse 1 to 5. Is that what I'm doing? I'm going to make sure that's what I'm doing, because I wasn't sure when I started the notes. I wrote notes down, so I know I wouldn't have to remember it too much. It's easier that way. Now it came to pass in days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech. Don't ask me to pronounce some of these names. It ain't going to happen. I could look it up some other time. And the name of his wife was Naomi. And the name of his 2 sons was Mahlon and Chilion. Ephraimites of Bethlehem, Judah. Ephraimites. And they came onto the country of Moab and continued there. I read somewhere they were there about 10 years. I wrote that down. So. And the Elimelech and Naomi's husband died, and she was left and her 2 sons. And he took unto them wives, the women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth, and they dwelt there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died also, both of them, and the woman was left of her 2 sons and her husband. I need to read better, I know that. I'm not very good at reading out loud. First. Had dust in my ass. Also, I clean these things off looking nice. Chemosh was the main national deity of the Moabites, whose name literally means destroyer, subduer, or the fish god. Probably in relation to Dagon and Baal They were all related somehow, some way. They just had different names. Like, yes, they all had different names, like with the Romans and the Greeks. Well, the Romans basically took a lot of the Greek gods and changed their names. And some of them they didn't. But anyway. While he was most rarely associated with the Moabites, according to Judges 11:24, he seems to have been the national deity of Ammonites, which would make sense considering they were related. Literally related. Like father and daughter related. It's the Old Testament, people. Calm down. Human sacrifice was considered necessary to secure his favor and when deliverance came. Basically, children. That's basically what most sacrifices were children. They sacrificed kids. That's how they appeased these pagan gods, which is why God said what he said, why he did not want the Israelites to have anything to do with the pagans in the land or in the country that they were in, because they knew exactly what would happen, or he knew exactly what was going to happen. The children of Israel were corrupted. They were constantly falling back into old ways and old gods and old sins. Read the story of Elijah and the prophets of Baal. I think it's Baal or Baal. Same people. I do have a book on him somewhere in there by Stephen. I'll look it up. It's a good book, though. It's a historical, biblical novel. I read it 40 odd years ago. But anyway, human sacrifices, as I said, was considered necessary, and basically they killed whomever they felt would appease Shemash. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that properly. They lived in the highlands east of the Dead Sea, now in west central Jordan. The story of Ruth and her journey to become great grandmother of the future King David of Israel is a story of an ordinary people. Well, these were ordinary people. I mean, these were not extraordinary people. These were not Joshua's and Moses's or Miriam. Miriam's Moses' sister, or even Deborah, the prophet, judge of prophet, who helped Barak defeat the. I should look this up. I didn't look it up. I should have. But he wasn't going to go into battle against anybody unless Deborah was with him. So there were female judges, at least one we know of. Okay, Ruth 1:1. I already read that, but let's read it anyway. You can never read something too many times. Let's see. Ruth 1:1. Now when it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of the Bethlehem, Judah, went to the sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. Why did he go? Of all the places to go during the famine, Moab would not have been my first choice. But why did he go? I know there was a famine in the land. Moab was the right place to go. I mean, maybe God directed him to go there, so Ruth would be part of the bloodline of David and Christ, the Messiah. Maybe. It's hard to tell. It's hard to know. Or he was just disillusioned with the God of Moses and of the scriptures. But whatever reason, he basically died there. His sons died there. He left his wife a widow, and he left his two sons left his 2 daughters, their 2 wives widows. So it wasn't really the greatest of moves, but in the end it worked itself out, which is how God works sometimes. We think we're doing the right thing and we're screwing up, and he figures out a way. Well, he already knows how to put things right. So who knows? Okay, let's see. I'm going to read it anyway. Ruth 1:2-5. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife was Naomi. And the names of the 2 sons, Mahlon, it's probably like the writer, Mahlon. I didn't say his name. If Andrew Jensen were around, he would correct me. He probably will in a dream. and Chilion Ephraimites of Benjamin Judah. Basically, the two sons were from Benjamin. Were actually the sons were actually Moabites. No, what am I thinking? Well, their names are not Israeli. Their names are not Jewish. They're Moabite names. I mean, they're not Hebrew names. So their names were changed. Okay, and they came into the country of Moab and they continued there. I think that's right. Or am I thinking of something else? I want to say I don't want to say wrong information. I always hate. That's why I always like to correct myself if I'm wrong at that moment. I might be getting it backwards. I think I'm probably getting it backwards. But I know Naomi and Orpah. Those are Moabite names. But anyway, Naomi's name. So I wrote some of this stuff down. Naomi's name means pleasant, lovely, delightful, and the poignant importance of the name comes into promise after Naomi later returned from Moab with Ruth, saddened by the bitter experience which she believed she had received from the Lord while in Moab. Naomi spoke to the people when she came back in Ruth 1:20. Let us read that. And she said unto them, "Call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me. And I went out full, and the Lord hath brought me home again empty. Why then call ye me Naomi, saying the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty hath afflicted me?" That would be Ruth. Yeah, well, there I go. Ruth 1:20, 1:21. Okay. I mean, Naomi, did she have much of a choice to go back to Bethlehem? Probably not. She probably wanted to go back home. I mean, there were no good memories living in Moab for those 10 years. Her husband died, her kids died, and her two daughter-in-laws stayed. I mean, we'll get to that point pretty soon. We'll get that point in the next video. But anyway, Naomi was bitter. She was angry. She was hurt. She felt betrayed. She felt lost. She even felt lost. She had been surrounded by a bunch of people who were not her people. She wanted to go back home. I mean, that makes sense. You want to be around your own people, your own culture, your own heritage, your own history. And even if you are angry or bitter toward God, or you think God is bitter toward you, you want to go back to your own God. But anyway, that would be one of my thinking why she returned. But the daughter-in-laws Orpah, I almost want to say Oprah constantly because that's almost how it's spelled. Orpah and Ruth are Moabites names. Their meanings are unknown, but their nationality is well known. I mean, Ruth and Orpah probably worshipped Chemosh before the sun showed up. They were probably very religious daughter-in-laws. One of them apparently. Orpah didn't seem to care, or at least the scriptures don't indicate that. I mean, maybe she believed what her people, her family, if there were any, or relations. But Ruth seems to have decided this God is better. That this whatever Naomi felt toward God of Israel, Ruth was willing to take a chance and go with Naomi. She was willing to basically walk away from her own culture, her own people, her own history, to abandon a false god, to abandon child sacrifice. I mean, who knows? Maybe she had a child and she had to sacrifice it or something. I'm guessing. But there was a reason why Naomi and Ruth were so close that Ruth could not think of abandoning her or going anywhere else other than with her. I mean, I believe that'll be in the next part I'll teach. But, I mean, that's just a summary of the first 5. Kind of gives you an idea of the characters. Amalek was probably running away from Israel, thinking he was going someplace better where God might actually listen and do something and make his life a whole bed of roses and blah blah blah. He was wrong. He died there because he abandoned. Probably maybe started becoming a worshiper of the fake false gods. Who knows? They don't tell you why he died. He just did, or why the sons died. But it's not a question that's answered why he thought Moab would be the best place. I am going to send him to Moab for a reason. He may not know it. He may be rejecting me, but I'm going to use him. I'm going to use Ruth of Christ and King David. And I'm at 16:10. I was hoping to get this. I don't want to do these too long because I'm not doing very many verses. But let's see. Any other notes? Let's see. Let's see. I wish I could pronounce these names better. Naomi is easy, and Ruth is easy, and Oprah is easy. Even though you want to say the other word, it's not. It gives you no idea why he. I guess I keep coming back to why he went to Moab. It's an interesting idea because Moab was traditionally not always on good terms with the Jews. They had constant run-ins. They did not worship the same God, obviously. They didn't have the same beliefs. Their origin is incestuous. But there's a reason he went there. That's how Ruth, the first few verses of Ruth really give you a real quick rundown of the rest of the story's two main characters. And they don't give a whole lot. But, the scriptures don't always give us a whole lot. They don't tell us everything because a lot of times we don't need to know everything. Well, that'll be the first. That's the first part of the Bible study, Ruth 1-5. So I will post this. Hopefully, in a couple of days, I'll get. Well, I'm not sure how long I'm going to do it. I'm trying to divide each chapter. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it where it makes sense and it's not too much craziness. But yes, hopefully this has given you some interest up to a point. I have green dots on my thing. What that means, I have no idea. Maybe it's the volume. I don't know. I'm still learning how to use the computer. But yes, this is King James Bible, people. This book is about 35 years old. The Bible's 35 years old. I think it's about 35 years old, maybe 40. I'm pretty sure it's 35. But I will post this. I will try to get the next one posted within a few days. Well, people, behave yourself because I won't. Later. Have a good day.